Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So in today's video, we are going to discuss the different aspects about the Common Management Admission Test, also known as the CMAT examination, and how to prepare for CMAT in 30 days. It is expected that the CMAT will be held towards the end of March and the registration process will begin soon. So keep following the official website for any communication of the dates. So without any further ado, let's get started. Now, talking about the CMAT examination, it is a 3 hours long computer-based examination conducted by NTA and it serves for 1,000 plus institutes nationally. So there are a total of 100 questions in the exam, which is divided into 4 different sections, namely language comprehension, logical reasoning, general awareness, and quantitative techniques and data interpretation. And there are 25 questions in each section. Last year, a new section was introduced, namely innovation and entrepreneurship. This section is not mandatory for all students, it is optional, and an additional 30 minutes are awarded for this section. So for every correct answer, the candidate is awarded a +4, making the total marks for the exam 400. The maximum marks is 400, and there is a -1 for every wrong answer. There are no negative marking for any unattempted question. Now let's move on to the main discussion of the video, that is how to prepare for CMAT 2022 in the next 30 days, like what should be the plan of action, the priorities of topics that should be covered, and finally the number of mocks that should be taken before the D-Day and the final test taking strategy that should be finalized. Okay, so there are 5 different sections in the CMAT examination, with 4 of them being mandatory for all the students and 1 being optional. So let's just take a quick look through the different topics that are covered under the different sections. So for language comprehension, we have reading comprehensions, we have sentence correction, there's paragraph completions, there's synonym, antonyms, phrases, proper usage of grammar, and so on. For quantitative and data interpretation, a lot of questions are formed from arithmetic and linear equations. So that forms an important topic. Apart from that, number systems is also an important topic. Then we do have a couple of questions from geometry and permutation, combination, probability. Then coming to the logical reasoning section, there are a variety of topics that are covered. There is blood relation, there is number series, there's sequencing, there is cause and effect relations, there is analogies, analytical reasoning, assumptions, and many more. For general awareness, both static GK and current affairs are counted. So a good blend of the current affairs on different topics like sports, history, geography, economics, culture, politics is a good way to go ahead with it. And finally, for people who are opting for innovation and entrepreneurship, a good preparation on topics like the recent budget, current affairs around innovation and entrepreneurship, the basic terms, terminologies that are used in innovation and entrepreneurship forms a major part of this particular section. Now, what should be the plan of action for these 30 days to crack the CMAT examination? So, first of all, it is very important for you to understand where you stand right now in terms of knowledge with respect to the examination. So, a basic flow of action that could be followed by every student is that first, make sure that your concepts are in place and your basics are clear. Second, for practice as many questions as you can from different sections. Practice as many questions as you can. It will give you a knowledge about different types of questions that could be there. Third would be to take mocks, to take full 3-hour mocks. This will help you to understand where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are, so that you can work on them and make the most of it. And final thing would be to finalize your strategy. This strategy is based on your personal speed, on your personal accuracy. So it totally depends on person to person. So you could try different strategies while taking mocks, and once you're comfortable with a particular strategy, you could go ahead with that. So, for students who are already clear with their basics, who are already clear with their concepts, they can directly move ahead with the mocks. They can start taking mocks right from week one, and they could take around 2 to 3 mocks every week, covering a total of 10 to 12 mocks before the final D day. So, try different strategies in different mocks for the first 2 weeks, and whichever strategy you feel is the best, that works best for you, try implementing that from week 3 and continue with that in the last 2 weeks so that you're good to go before the final D day. Understand where are the sections, where are the areas you're making mistakes, and try improving on them. Keep a regular touch with all the basic concepts and keep revising them, the current affairs, and all the knowledge that you have gained over the past few months. Now, for students who are having issues with their basic concepts and ideas, first, it is very important for you to understand the concepts, to understand the concepts of quants, to understand the concepts of reasoning, of verbal knowledge, to keep an update of the current affairs that are going on. It is very important to get a grasp of these topics before moving on to mocks. So you could spend the first week into getting a hold of these topics first before moving on to the mocks. Along with understanding the concepts, keep on practicing questions from the topics that you're preparing for. Like for quants, you could start with arithmetic, because a lot of questions are based in and around arithmetic in the final paper. So you could start with arithmetic. You could pick up, there are several topics in arithmetic. There is interest, there is time and work, speed, distance, averages, alligation. There are a lot of topics. You could start with whichever topic you're comfortable in, understand the concepts and practice the questions side by side, and continue with that for the first week. In week 2, give one mock so that you have an idea of the entire 3-hour pressure that comes on the D day. From week 3 onwards, try giving 2 to 3 mocks every week so that before the D day you have covered around 5 to 6 mocks. So giving 5 to 6 mocks will help you understand where your strengths and weaknesses are, and it will help you finalizing a strategy for the D day. So keep a touch with the regular with the topics that you're covering on a regular basis. So the topics that you're covering on day 1, revise them on day 2. The topics that you're covering on day 2, revise them on day 3. The topics that you have covered throughout the week 1, make sure to revise them in week 2 and continue that process of revision. I think it will help you form a clear concept, a clear knowledge of your of all the basics and things that you have practiced, and you'll be good to go before the final D day. Now let's just take a quick look on the score versus percentile for CMAT 2021. So as we can see, a score of 280 would give the student a 90 percentile range, and scores up to 340 would be required for 99.99 percentile. A student scoring 345 plus would have been able to score 100 percentile in the CMAT 2021 examination. Now the range of score versus percentile keeps on changing every year, depending on the level of difficulty, on the number of people taking the exam, and several other factors. However, you could expect for a 90 percentile this year, you could expect the range to be around 270 to 290. And effectively for 99.99 percentile, it could be around 335 to 345, and subsequently more for 100 percentile. So you could expect around this range for CMAT 2022. So guys, all the best. Wishing you all the best for the D-Day. Stay calm, stay composed, and you'll crack it. The exam is not just to test your knowledge and aptitude, but it equally tests your stress management skills, how well you react in panic situations. So don't panic. There's enough time for the examination. If you get stuck on one question, try moving on to the other questions. There are a lot of questions, there are a lot of options. You can easily navigate between one section to other. So pick your strength, start with the section you are comfortable in, and go ahead with whatever flow, with whatever strategy you finalize. Go ahead with that and you'll be able to crack it. So stay calm, stay composed, and just crack it. All the best.